think the people in horror movies are just downright stupid? Like, really, if I'm being chased by a mass murderer, I'm not heading to some small, closed-off space. No, I'm going towards a large room with multiple exit points, so no matter which door they decide to bust down with the machete, I have another good one right there. And windows. They always forget about windows. I may not be able to break through a wall, but I can bust through a window. Now, I know you all agree with my carefully thought out plan and would personally like to see me put to the test, so you don't have to listen to the rest of my speech. But the scary thing is, you have no choice. Welcome to How to Get Away from Murderers. Today, we'll be going over 3 basic steps. First, we'll look at the background of the location and see how fear is cultivated and controlled in your mind. Next, we'll look at the specter/killer that's in front of you today, which is the societal expectations that cause fear in everyday life. And finally, we'll plan our escape route. Courage comes at a cost. It's much too expensive for some people, especially those horror movie characters, the little wimps. When planning your trip to Springwood, Ohio, make sure not to stay on Elm Street, or else you'll end up like my friend Dr. Bones here, after being plagued by murderous nightmares. And while nightmares and horror movies are great ways to incite fear, it can also be other things such as honors geometry tests, steep steps, or even speech tournaments. Whatever your fear may be, your brain perceives it based on past experiences. The prefrontal cortex and hippocampus will perceive the threat by relating it to past memories. Then the amygdala will activate the fight or flight response, which includes increasing the breathing and heart rate, pumping blood to all of the muscles, and giving the bloodstream a healthy dose of adrenaline. While the following factors, context, distractions, and social learning, have a part in how we experience fear, a common theme is a sense of control, says Assistant Professor of Psychology at Wayne State University, Linda Saab. Your brain will remove all else from the spectrum of focus so that it can directly target the threat at large. I should probably mention that your response to watching a horror movie is a lot different than your response to living in one. Your prefrontal cortex and hippocampus will prevent the full-fledged response from occurring, which makes scaring people a lot less fun. Now we know how your brain perceives and cultivates fear. Now let's ask the question, are we born with innate fears as well as those that we learn? We have discovered that all living things have developed 2 fears through the process of evolution. A 1960 study by psychologists Eleanor Gibson and Richard Walk at Cornell University proved this to be true by setting up a visual cliff. Small animals and children were beckoned across a glass platform, and many would not, proving that once depth perception has developed, so does a fear of falling. Seth Norholm, a translational neuroscientist at Emory University, discovered that all living things have an acoustic startle response, meaning that if I scream really loud, or you hear a balloon pop, you'll immediately duck. I would start screaming as an example, but I have to preserve your ears for the rest of my speech. Have you ever seen Saw? No, not Seesaw, the movie, Saw, with the guy in the creepy white pig mask. I'm gonna play a game, hee hee hee. Well, just as he used fear to manipulate his subjects into doing things such as cutting off their own feet, we've constantly been manipulated by fear throughout our whole lives, in a much less gruesome way. As children, your parents use fear to teach you what to do. And you learned fear through your own experiences and through stories of the experiences of others. The true grim fairy tales are much scarier than some horror movies. The Boy Who Cried Wolf taught that lying could result in you getting eaten by a wolf. Hansel and Gretel taught that disrespecting your parents and being greedy could result in you getting eaten by a witch. And the 3 Little Pigs taught that just skimping through life and taking the easy way could result in you getting eaten by another big bad wolf. Getting eaten was a basic form of fear in the minds of most children. We were taught morals and how to behave through fear, because bribery doesn't always work with kids. And some of us, that worked out pretty great. I mean, I'm talking from my own personal experiences, But I think I turned out pretty fine. And I bet the rest of you did too. This is a way fear was used to teach in your life, and it aided us in a positive way. Your fear may not yield such positive consequences today. We walk through life searching to stay in the indistinct borderlines that society has granted us. Best-selling mystery author Rita Brown says, "The reward for conformity is being liked by everyone but ourselves." We've been taught to highly value the opinion of others above our own. We become subservient, silent people to our elders because that's what we think respect is. We have grown to learn that ostracism is the result of an opposing opinion. So we're scared to speak out. We will not compromise our morals and get separated from the council of peers that we surround ourselves with. This fear has come to harm you throughout your entire life because you seek to be with others who are like you as a human instinct. So this scary specter is a large part of our lives today. But now Pennywise has shown his big, ugly face, and we've looked into the eyes of fear and laughed or peed ourselves. Everyone has a different reaction. Well, now we are going to plan our escape route. We won't run from the source of fear, but rather overcome it by finding courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but knowing that something is worth more than it, says James Hollingworth, a man who wrote in spite of his fear by using a pseudonym. Many people didn't know who he was for years after his death, yet he still made an impact in society through his words. To overcome fear, you have to judge that something is worth more than it. So the next time you're confronted by a difficult situation, ask yourself, are a few seconds of my life worth more than the burden of regret for years after? Is it worth correcting the Starbucks barista? Do I care about my own well-being for minutes more than the well-being of someone else for those minutes as well? Sometimes you don't realize, but a few seconds of your own life could have a lifelong impact on a victim if you decide to speak out. See, public speakers have learned to excel at these methods. Unlike Mr. Bones here, they open their mouths and they preach, because having a voice and a means determines that we should use them for the better of others. So they choose their message over the opinion of others. They aren't scared because they know that what they're telling and what they do to improve society is worth more to them. So the next time you're told to change your interests and change your style, prioritize your happiness. Next time you're told to change what you like or what you wear, prioritize your individuality. And if you're asked to play a game by a guy in a creepy white pig mask, prioritize your sanity. Let's take Mr. Bones as an example here. Today, he walked in with many different fears. One probably being that he's dead and a plastic skeleton. Yet, we learned how to open our mouths and make an impact in society. He will grow and learn how to help others through his words. And I'm hoping I have the same impact on all of you. So don't be a stupid horror movie character that gets killed in the first 5 minutes. Be a smart one that gets killed in the last scene. Your efforts to override your fear may not always be fruitful, and sometimes the backlash will be too strong. But go ahead and scare them with your willpower. Whatever your fear may be, you've got this. And next time you move into a deserted house, first check the background of the location. If you need to, Google it. Next, if you meet that scary mass murderer face to face, introduce yourself. And finally, if they've already rejected your offer of friendship and a hug, politely ask to be excused. Even though your amygdala is flashing red lights and everything you've ever learned is telling you to run. Remain calm and be grateful. Some people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore. Thank you.